So I was reading on Reddit. Someone posted a CERN project called Awake Experiment, Advanced Wakefield Experiment, and brought up this quote by Sergio Bertolucci, who's I don't know if he's still the director, at least he was, director for research and scientific computing at CERN. The Large Hadron Collider could open a doorway to an extra dimension, and out of this door might come something, or we might send something through it. So, very interesting. And same poster also showed this over CERN as it was conducting the experiment, which is kind of crazy looking. And so I went and looked for this guy to see what he had to say. And he starts with the formation of CERN after World War II, of the creation of the protocols for the internet, just the basic idea, and going from single computers to a large worldwide computer. All the existing computers as the cloud. So he starts with that, and then gets into some physics. And I don't agree with their description of the universe, and I'm not a scientist, of course, but I just think that if they earnestly believe what they're talking about, what they're doing, the human mind can have all sorts of machinations and come up with all sorts of things, all sorts of reasons, all sorts of physical projects. Yes, they do come up with things, so I don't think that they're simply making things up, but I think they're coming from the dark side, and magic and stuff will get things done. If you don't believe in magic and stuff, things like that, you obviously never seen it happen, and it's scary, really, when you do see these things happen. So I think that's it's a spiritual battle going on. These people are drawing unconsciously or consciously. Probably this guy at the higher level. He is probably he's probably in. This guy's probably in on it and stuff. But having come up through the ranks as a scientist, but I'm getting off track here in the sense that I want to show what this guy said, even though I don't ascribe to their beliefs about the nature of reality per se. There's something to what they're saying. Some people think CERN is not involved. I would say that if it is involved, it is like a tuning fork, like in Dark City, for achieving what they want to achieve, which I'm sure is just a bunch of things, So I just wanted to show this clip from the station Felix Bop, Future of CERN, Part 7 of 7. And this is from 2010, at least that's when he posted it. And I just wanted to show what this guy, he has a heavy Italian accent, but if you can get through that, it's interesting. And just watching the beginning and end of this little 7-part series is enlightening. All right. Thanks for watching.
Could you imagine that the way we are building up physics, of course we were quite in a different direction with classical physics, and we started with Planck and Maxwell in this way. Could we have a complete different way of having physics in the future?
Sure.
That's the final question.
Sure. 1 minute?
Yeah. Can you give us a hint in 1 minute?
In 1
Could
minute.
it be a complete different paradigm?
Yeah, a completely different paradigm could be, for instance, suppose that in 6 months from now, we discover supersymmetric particles, which is a possibility because we are exploring now in the next year up to about 800 times the mass of the proton. So we have a good capability just to find the. Then we say that what we have understood about the world up to now is zero because we have found another symmetry. We have found essentially a universe which is specular to our universe. It is way much more interesting than the Higgs particle in the sense.
Okay.
And in this case, would be even more interesting because there won't be only one Higgs. It is like for every particle in our universe, there is another thing which has the opposite statistics. Is called. So for every thing which has half integer spin, like an electron, there will be an integer selectron, supersymmetric electron on the other
reality.
In the other reality. And these two things could only interact through gravity, and these are very good candidates for dark matter if they are enough. But they're even a biggest thing because it will put together on the same place, on the same time, forces and matter. Will be a unification of forces and matter, which will be a totally different thing. We might discover that there are extra dimensions respect to the four. It would be very spectacular. You all have heard about these black holes. Huh? Everybody was afraid that we were making a black hole.
It's okay.
And we were just sucking up first Geneva and then all the rest of the world. Would have been a very big discovery. So don't ask a physicist, would you like this? Of course. And now I'm not kidding. We might really make them, but not of the sort you imagine, because we have a very perfect evidence that this black hole, which is not based on theory, no experimentalist would ever believe a theory because it's against his principle, ethical principle, and we have a proof of that because we are existing. From the space, nature can send us particles with much higher energy than I have seen. And these particles are hitting the Earth, are hitting the stars, the sun. If this black hole could have been formed in the interaction, we would not be existing because it would have already disappeared since a few billions of years. Right. So, but suppose that we are succeeding. Just to look, extra dimension means that now we are describing nature in this way. This object has 3 dimensions, but 2 dimensions are much bigger than the 3rd dimension. So for most of the things, we are considering this object a 2-dimensional object. Imagine that if we were thinking that we were describing all the physics in 2 dimensions. Imagine, for instance, you want just to describe an elephant in 2 dimensions. So an elephant is an intrinsic 3-dimensional thing. So you take a section, and depending how lucky you are, your description of an elephant will be a big blob, a thing which has 4 corners and plus a thing which is the nose, or a smaller thing. So it would be very difficult for you just to write a consistent theory, especially if the elephant doesn't make tomography, doesn't go around your phone. Imagine now that instead, with your new microscope, you're able just to see the thickness of this foil. And of course, the microscope, as I told you, stays on only for a tiny moment and for a tiny so for a tiny moment you can open up this dimension, you can look at it, and in this moment things might come out, or you can put things in of your world. What will end up is that at the end of this interaction, counting the things, there'll be or something more or something missing, and this is the black hole. A black hole, as Hawking has said, is not a black hole that things, but is also a source of things, because there is quantum mechanics ensure that at the border of the black hole there should be energy also coming out. That would be a major revolution, because we would think that at this point that essentially our description of the world, by definition, is minimal and inaccurate and false because we are describing it in the wrong number of dimensions, not only with the wrong equation, in the wrong number of dimensions. And so this is one of the things which might come out of this thing of this. So it's a big deal.
It would be a nice Spinoza experiment. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you for now for this inspiring.
Thank you.
Yes.